Hello everyone, today I'm looking at Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. This one was, I guess, interesting to me. First of all, it was a lot of fun, but it's kind of weird putting this besides the original Paper Mario because they do differ in a few ways, and people basically like this thing has nines out of tens, eights out of tens, like one of the best RPGs ever made kind of thing. And I did enjoy it. It's just that I feel the last chapter was just a little bit weak compared to the rest of the chapters in the game. And I also felt, I don't know, I think I spent actually more time on the original Paper Mario than this one. I think this one took me like 40 hours, while the last one took me 50 or 60 hours. And I think that's because there was a lot of side stuff or side quest stuff that was implemented into the uh I don't know, the main integration of the game of the story, while in Paper Mario A Thousand Year Door it was treated more as a segmented that, like, oh hey, this is all optional side stuff that you can do, like the taste tea, um uh cooking compendium, the casino, and literally there's a place where you do side quests for a bunch of people. And I mean, again, like, I really play things for the story and for the experience. And I will say though that when I started playing this game, I thought, oh, this is the Paper Mario people are talking about. I always thought it was super weird in the original Paper Mario how you had to equip a badge in order to unlock the double ability, essentially when you press the A button right before you hit an opponent to deal like double damage, which feels really, really good. And I just thought that was an integral part of the series, but no, in Thousand Year Door it is. In the original, you have to actually equip it and whatever. Again, there are other slight nuances here. The fact that, the stars no longer have personalities, they're just objects you collect, like, the spiritual stones or whatever. And I don't know. I guess I'm fine with that. Taking away that they have like souls or whatever, that they're just collectibles. Um, I do have to say though, a lot of the scenarios are really, really interesting. And something that really struck me, I think, from the get go is that I thought the story was going in a really interesting direction, and then just really didn't deliver. And that's my biggest gripe, honestly. For example, it opens up with this whole legend about Rogueport and how 1,000 years ago it was this great civilization and got destroyed. And I thought, okay, this game came out roughly 2004, similar time as Wind Waker, so similar vibe. Definitely big on pirates. I just realized that, like, Wind Waker. When did Pirates of the Caribbean come out? I think 2001. I feel like pirates were super influential both in Wind Waker and in this game. If there is kind of a weird side marriage. Like, if you look at the production line of, they released a Mario and they released a Zelda, those two have always been together in Nintendo's real bread and butter. And if you look at how they turned Link into Toon Link and Wind Waker, it turned like a weird, small, chibi version of himself. I feel like they did the same thing here with Mario, and they said, "Oh, well, let's make him paper," even though they technically did that on the N64. But it was kind of like, I feel Wind Waker and this game are spiritual brothers in a weird way, because they evolve around pirates, and there's a whole level dedicated to pirates and the ocean. Something, I guess, on that point that always did not sit well with me at all is just the fact that Rogueport, um, the central, like, thing in the middle of the town square is like a noose and a gallows, basically a hanging post, and as a form of execution. It's like, what is this doing in a children's game? And I'm trying to go with some like dark Nintendo conspiracy pipeline, but it's the main thing you see, and it's the main, like, symbol of the city is this noose. And I was expecting, okay, they're going to explain why that's there. They said that they used to hang pirates here, or there was someone who summoned a demon and they betrayed the town and they hung them here, and they kept the gallows as like an eternal reminder to never betray the town of Rogueport and whatnot. And none of that happened. This giant gallows in the middle of the pirate, town is literally never explained. And I'd be fine with that if it was just in a corner somewhere. Like, okay, someone's gonna write creepypasta about this weird hanging thing, this hanging post in the background. But no, it's front and center. You see it every single time, and like every in the town surrounds this thing as if that is the main idea of the town. And I was expecting at least someone to say like, oh yeah, that thing, that's we used to hang people here. They never talk about it. No NPC ever, at least that I came across, no NPC ever talks about the giant gallows at the center of the town. And it's just like, okay. And you even have to see it like the final cutscene. You get all the stars and it opens up this thing and the light comes out. It all revolves around this thing. And it's just what you see every time you like start in the main area. And it's just like, yep, it's completely pointless. I'd rather prefer if they told me that it was used to hang like criminals or some dark whatever thing, instead of just having it being completely unexplained. It's like, I guess, you know, I guess they hung people here in some like pirate age or something, but it's just, they just never talk about it. It's like, it's an open secret. Like there's someone, there's like a dead body in the middle of the town and no one's talking about it. They're like, yeah, it's there, I guess. Anyway, but beyond that, I do like how the story was developing. It was saying, oh, so there's this ancient thing. We need to find the 7 stars, and they have to open up the 1,000-year door underground. Like, oh, the 1,000-year door. This is the big thing. This is the big reveal. What does this door guard? What's it all about? Why are we trying to get here so long? And it turns out, oh, you find out there's more development. Where it turns out these aliens have actually kidnapped Peach, and they're trying to get in here because there's an ancient demon, a 1,000-year-old demon, that was the reason that the town was destroyed and the world was almost flooded, and they're trying to resurrect them and get this power. I'm like, oh, this sounds really cool now. I'm really into this. Like, okay, we have to stop this demon thing in a Mario game. Like, that's super cool. And there was also a big change of pace too, that Peach was now captured by these aliens basically, and I really liked how in the original Paper Mario it allowed you to play as Peach, and even the way she walks is very distinct and very nice. And she walks into this room and she meets this computer, this AI called Tech, and it was kind of funny / sad how it's like, oh, Princess Peach is here, and even though I'm a computer and don't understand emotions, I want to protect and love her. Am I falling in love with Princess Peach? And all this, stupid stuff. And so it was kind of an endearing character by the end of the game. I really did kind of enjoy Tech, I guess. What I really, really enjoyed though were the Bowser stages. So I never expected this, is that after Peach, you would have like Bowser scenarios, and they'd humanize and have Bowser time. And the Bowser levels, honestly, were some of the best sections in the game. It's like, oh, you get to play as a Mario level, but as Bowser. You could tell there's so much creativity and so much passion went into these segments. They were so much fun. They were definitely the highlight of the game. Getting to play as Peach and Bowser, but really playing as Bowser was a lot of fun and usually pretty funny. Also, I found that the writing for the game was also generally pretty funny and pretty well written. I just felt that even for a Mario game, there was just a lot of reading. Like, people just talked a lot. And it did get kind of tiresome at a certain point. Like, there's only so much reading you have to do before you really get disengaged. Aside from that, yeah, I mean, we want to talk about the combat. The combat is phenomenal. It is fantastic. It feels, and not only just the combat, but the animations of how the characters interact with each other. They're so fluid. And I remember playing the original Paper Mario being like, oh, this doesn't feel right. But the absolute, I think the sharpness of the cutouts, the distinctness of the characters against the backgrounds, it felt very distinct. It said, oh, this is Paper Mario. This is the real experience. So from a mechanical experience place, it feels really, really good. And outside of that, or on top of that rather, yeah, the animation, the way the characters interact in battle, it just feels very distinct, and it feels like, oh, this is the real experience, and the kind of pinnacle of what they were essentially aiming for. But yeah, in terms of comedy, something like, I don't know, the writing for this game, and I guess Intelligent Systems, which I realized also did Fire Emblem, It's like, for one example, what I really like is every single upgrade or main power you get from Mario throughout the game is by unleashing a cursed ghost and demon, and says it curses you by giving you this ability. It's like, oh, you're scared now, right? So there's a lot of like pretty decent comedy throughout the game that I just wasn't expecting. It was really funny, honestly, the first time it happened. Like, oh, I've cursed you to transform into an air mode, and then you can press the B button to detransform, but you'll always have this curse over you. You'll always know you could turn into an airplane or a boat whenever you want. My job here is done. So yeah. Um but yeah, like also on top of that, some of the scenarios were really interesting. It's like, okay, you're playing a Mario game, you have your fire level, ice level, water level, etc. But here there was a really interesting amount of variety. It's like, okay, you have your desert island pirate level, and I was really surprised by that segment, because you beat the boss and then they have like a boss after it that's supposed to almost be fun, where you have these two giant pirate ships with Cortez or whatever fighting each other, and you could tell that they're trying to really make it fun and engaging and not just challenging for the player. um Oh, one of my favorite environments, possibly of all time, is I forget what it's called, but it's the forest where you have black trees with white leaves. Aesthetically, I've always been really curious about that place, and the music there is really, really cool. And also overall, the music in this game is also pretty good, pretty decent. I honestly got really tired of the Rogueport theme, having to listen to it a lot. But the music in this game is I mean, it's standard. It's above standard. It's up there. It's pretty iconic. It's fun. Um, but yeah, some of these scenarios, it's like, okay, so you have, desert island pirate level, fine, whatever. You have, a Koopa Village, like castle, generic castle with a dragon in it and iconic hooktail. But then you had like two that really stood out to me because they weren't typical dungeons. They were like real life-ish scenarios. So you had one which was a coliseum in the sky, and the dungeon was to basically become the world champion of this wrestling tournament. I was like, okay, while you're also uncovering a conspiracy that the manager of the wrestling facility has been essentially draining people's energies and putting it into like a giant spirit battery kind of thing. I just thought, okay, this is interesting. This is new. There's like intrigue, there's plot, there's like a TV show almost. And the other one that stood out was, of course, the train mission, where you have like a murder mystery on board a train. But it was things like, who ate the soup? Who ate the soup? Find people's missing jewelry. Fix the train at the outpost at the halfway point. And then the boss was like these little things that had infected and boarded the train, and taking it over, you have to defeat them, and stuff like that. So it was like, oh, this is actually really fun, and it's funny because the whole point of that segment was you had to get to this like fancy rich place where you had to like find the final star, and usually it's like, oh, it's in a dungeon, it's being captured by this, it's in a gold vault or something. And it's always in games like, oh yeah, we just have to go to this place and it'll be super easy, bro. And it never is. And I like how the train mission, it actually technically is super easy. Because you literally just go there and you do one puzzle, but the guy just gives you the crystal star. It's like, yeah, oh, you're trying to save the world? Sure, go ahead. But the funny part is that it's the journey to get there. That's the dungeon. That's so funny to me. I don't know why. It's like, it's very refreshing to have something really unexpected happen. Another thing I really liked about this game were the character designs and the designs of the characters, and just how they and the whole 2D, like real 2D aesthetic, and how they pop out of the background and they move and they have like little footsteps down. Like all the little things I probably didn't notice that make them really fun to talk to and interact with. So of course you have Goombella, you have Koops, who's like, yeah, I've got this anime bandage, I'm like trying to like be strong, but it's hard, and kind of like he has like a shonen kind of arc. I mean, unfortunately, the characters don't really develop past the first interaction. It's not like Mass Effect where you go on like an extra mission to fully unlock them and get their special second power. And And honestly, my favorite character design wise is actually Bombery, the bomb captain you get. I don't know what it is, but the naval aesthetic with the fact he has a spinning captain's wheel behind him and this cap and he's a scar across his face. He was so cool. I was like, oh, who is this guy? He's really cool. I don't know what it is, but his character design was my absolute favorite. There's also who else? There's Flurry. There's also the I call him Champ. So the Yoshi that you get at the Coliseum, you can basically call him whatever you want. So I just thought, do I call him Yoshi? I thought, well, he's like this spunky kid. He wants to be the champion. So I just called him Champ with like a star at the end. I thought that was kind of cool. And so yeah, he's Champ. Like it made sense to me. Like yeah, that's Champ anyway. And so he wants to be the best. Flurry wants to like protect the animals of the forest, and also used to be an opera singer or something. And she'll only come out once you find her pearl necklace. The funny thing about her is I think she has like these ghost boobs that I think they censor the new Paper Mario. I haven't checked honestly the difference, but yeah, I was just like, okay, whatever. I mean, fat sexual people have dreams too. It's like whatever. And I was kind of not disappointed, but I thought her power was going to be allowing me to float around like Lakitu in the previous one, but it was actually just to blow on things to make them like the covers come off in the environment, which is fine. It's just that I hate those puzzles where it's like, oh, you should have known that you had to blow in this one specific area. We put a whole pixel there to show you that it could be. Um, Aside from her, there's Champ, there's Vivian, and the last one I'm forgetting. Wait, is that all of them? I think there's 6 or something. Of course, there's Goombella, who you got at the start. And yeah, Vivian was nice. I don't know, because she's like on the evil side, and then she comes to your side when she realizes that you're kind of good guys. I also liked her because she had this really funny glitch that would happen where she would float at the same level as Mario, but her little ghost tail for some reason was always tied to like the 0 point of the floor. So there are times where you're jumping across platforms and she will basically just get long. She'll just elongate and get elastic and just go all the way to the bottom. I also think she was the best female design of the game. She shows just cute little cheeks, little mouth, this big top hat. She doesn't even have eyes. And she has this pretty interesting, honestly, conflict out of all the characters where she is, trying to reconcile the fact that her sisters are evil and hate her and are making her work for Bowser. And she doesn't want to do this thing at all, basically. Yeah. And her moveset is also pretty decent, too. But yeah, I'd say Bombery is still my absolute favorite. Yeah, I can't think of any other ones. The badges are more or less the same. I didn't really see anything that really stood out as like, okay, more flowers, more HP, sleep stomp, ice hammer, curb stomp, curb stomp. Honestly, and since I played the last one, I just remembered that the most overpowered move in this game is multi-bounce or like power bounce or whatever. The one where you can do it multiple times as long as you don't fail an input. So like, I mean, if you just want to beat the game, it's the one weird trick where you just give Mario like an power boost, or you give him an energy boost or attack boost rather, and you just have him do multi-bounce, and you just time the bounces. So you do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. You do like 20 things of damage in like one shot. It's absolutely kind of broken and unfair, but but they encourage you to get that timing on normal shots anyway, so it makes sense. The hammers are really fun. All the little moves are more or less really fun. When you unlock the super jump and whatever, it's kind of interesting how they manipulate Mario's body. Now you can turn into a little roll and hop around. And I was stuck on this one puzzle because I didn't realize you could press A as the roll to jump. I thought you could only press B, but whatever. Also, the powers feel really good. I also really like this about RPGs, and this has in common with my other favorite RPG, which is Tales of Symphonia, that the attack numbers and the defense numbers are very, very small. It's like 1, 2, 3. Like the highest amount of attack you'll see by the end of the game is 10, maybe 12. I think 15 was the highest actually using the star power. And I just like that. I know I like having small, manageable numbers that make me understand, oh, okay, this is exactly how much more damage I'm doing. It makes sense. It's very simple. It's very kind of child friendly in a way because it's just easy to understand. But I mean, on that point, could a child play this game? I mean, I guess so, but it's really kind of difficult to keep track of all the stuff you have to do and the quests and whatever. It's fairly difficult, I would say, and just knowing the right strategies can be hard. Um, But yeah, and there's just a bunch of other like side quests, like the tasty stuff or zesty. I think she is this one. Side quests. There's so many badges to get, really expensive badges. There's like Luigi's compendium where Luigi's going on a different journey and he's telling you all of his stupid stories that aren't real. And for some reason, you can pay for these as a compendium at the bookstore. And I just don't have enough coins for that, man. I guess if I did all the side quests, maybe I would. But there's almost too much content that doesn't feel worthwhile doing besides the main story in this game. I think it was just kind of like padding that's there. Um, and then like once you fully upgrade a character, you've kind of seen everything they can do. It's kind of like, oh, I want to like mess around and see what they can do with this. Like, no, I've seen them do it basically. Um, Definitely some of my favorite moves are Power Shell by Koops. You just shoot everything in a row. That's how it was with the Koopa character in the previous one. He was my favorite, just mechanically, because you just shoot everything in one shot. Um, and I think Bombery, just being able to like do the final bomb explosion attack just feels really good. Just decimate everything around you. It feels really cool. And yeah, there's things like you can like purchase Luigi's clothes, Wario's clothes, like all these little like so much extra stuff. And there's gold bars which I guess are just retain their value of like 100 coins or something. I don't really know what they were used for except to like sell. um and yeah, I think that brings me back to what the original point that I wanted to get to, which I didn't like, which is the final segment. So we've gone through all these really cool scenarios. We've gone from like a weird color inverted forest to a coliseum to Twilight Town. Oh, Twilight Town was interesting. What was it called? Twilight Town or Twilight Zone? And I thought it was very similar. Like, oh, you're Shadow Mario is evil, and they think, and he's taking on your form, and he's a shapeshifter, and you have to like find out his real identity and speak his name. Like, oh, this is like Kingdom Hearts. This is like every other kind of psychological shadow based whatever kind of thing. It was very Kingdom Hearts, that whole level. And it had a weird mechanic. You have to find out this character's name and destroy him that way. And then you also get a turn of Vivian joins your party. That was really cool. And then and you have the pirate segment, like, oh, that's so cool. And so you have all these really cool things, and then you finally get to the very last segment, and it's like, oh, you have to find this one place in the sewers and basically go to the far outpost, this giant cannon in the snow level, which is really small, like really underdeveloped, and there's nothing really there. And then, in fact, the entire mission or level, the preamble to that entire chapter, is you just have to go on this fetch quest of following clues for where this General White Bomb guy is, so you can just fire the cannon and get to the moon. So you don't even spend time in this winter area. And I guess it's to encourage you to go back, find stuff, and say, hey, you can go and do stuff here, and don't forget to use your powers to find this, which you couldn't before, and do side quests and whatnot. It's kind of like, all right, I guess. And then you finally get to the moon, and that's actually a pretty cool mission when you are on the moon base and it ends up blowing up and Tech dies and then he doesn't. It's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, it was a pretty fun. And then you finally fight Grotus or whatever, and then you get the final star, and then you go to the Thousand-Year Door and you open it up, and there's been all this build up to this ancient lost civilization, and you open it up and it's just like a castle, and it's just like there's a moat. And yeah, you find the demon, and it's a 1,000-year demon, and it's in a coffin, and it opens up, and it possesses Princess Peach. And I mean, that was pretty cool, but it was kind of like there was no further development. Oh, there's a demon of 1,000 years. It wakes up, it possesses Peach. We fight it and we defeat it. And they have the whole sort of Earthbound segment where the sky darkens, everyone's being cursed, and they all start praying, and it's not very direct. They all start praying to the crystal stars from each area that they're from, and that somehow breaks the curse. They don't really explain it. In Earthbound, it's like, oh yeah, the metaphysical manifestation of these things is actually breaking through the barriers of reality to destroy this conceptual demon. While in this one, just like, oh, people want to feel good and they want Mario to succeed, and so it happens, I guess. So maybe it's not poorly or very well explained, but that's essentially what happens and occurs. And then, yeah, you basically beat the demon and you save Princess Peach, and Bowser and Grottus are thwarted. And Princess Peach looks out over the horizon and says, oh, what a wonderful place, what a wonderful location, this rogue port, what a wonderful adventure. And I was like, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I felt it was just very kind of phoned in, like the ancient civilization. Like in Wind Waker, you feel like, oh, this was Hyrule. It's been frozen in time, and you resurrect it. It's really cool and has a very distinct vibe. And what's behind the 1,000-year door? The first level, basically, it's a castle. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I mean, and they were hinting at things. They have this cool observatory where it's like rotating. It's like, tell me, like, did the ancient civilization make this demon? Did they summon it? Did they seal it away? Like, I'd love some more context, please. And I never get it. It's just like whatever. And so I don't know. I just felt very kind of let down, and the ending just felt very anticlimactic. Like, oh, Peach got possessed. What are we gonna do? Beat her? Oh, okay. Maybe I had bad expectations because of the last game, but people said this was one of the best RPGs ever made, so I was expecting something really, really big, really, really huge. And it was good. Like, this was a good game. Is it 40 hours good though? No, not really. I was gonna give this game like a 4. I was going to give this a game of at least a 4 to 5. Or like an 8 out of 10. But it's kind of closer to a 7, to be honest. It's kind of like, yeah, that was great, but at a certain point, that last level, that last dungeon, and even up to, I think, the train part, I was getting kind of tired of the game. I was like, you have to go talk to this specific person in this specific order in this specific way. You have to talk to this person and that person, and then you have to do this specific thing. And it's always like almost a headache of a puzzle, figuring out who I'm supposed to talk to. I'm fine doing a puzzle where it's like connect A to B, do this, whatever. But when it's like find the person to talk to, I hate that. I hate that so much. And there's quite a bit of it in this game that by the end of the game, it gets really, really frustrating, really, really tiresome, to be honest. I think the only other like small critique I have about the series in general is that what I had to learn is that there's certain badges you just don't equip. Like, yes, okay, you can equip the ice attack badge, but then and the sleep attack badge and all this other stuff. And it's like you could have 6 different moves, or you could spend those 6 points on one badge to increase your overall attack power by 1. And that's like the proper way to play the game without me realizing that's how I should have been playing it. Yeah. Overall, I don't know about much else to say. Again, there's really too much writing in this game, and I really hate saying that. For example, like Goombella, she can tell you the backstory of every single NPC, and it's never something super amazing or interesting. Like, oh, this person hangs out over here, and they have this kind of personality. It's like, I can see that. I know that. It's obvious to me. I can perceive this. And then she can say everything about every location in the game, and it's like, it's nice that they did that, but I just didn't really use it, unless I only talked to Goombella when I was stuck on a puzzle and I didn't know what to do, really, or I was slightly curious about like the location, like the moon base, like what is this kind of thing. Overall, it's definitely a good game. It's definitely worth playing. It just, again, it feels kind of a chore 3/4 in to finish it. And I was kind of like, oh, I want to do something else. But I just thought it actually had become my routine. I do like my day of work. I come home and I play it for like a couple hours. And I think it is nice to pace out your games in this way, to think, oh yeah, I know roughly there's going to be like a preamble, a bunch of like kind of talking side quests to get to the dungeon, and then once I'm in the dungeon, I have to fight X amount of hours, and then I fight the boss, and then that's chapter complete. And having that kind of predictability throughout the level or throughout the game is really nice, because then you can start to portion out, okay, this is my game time. I don't have to think about what I'm going to play, which stops a lot of people from playing. I just know I have like a chapter within Paper Mario to do, and I know roughly how long that's going to take. I think it's the fact that people get sucked into games and they just don't know how long things take, and that really dampens the experience. And they need expectations for things, and I think really expectations really bar people from experience things a lot. The other thing that I'm very kind of happy and proud of is this was like the last game I had to play on GameCube. After this, that's that's it. I mean, GameCube has, frankly, I think one of the greatest and strongest libraries out of any generation. A lot of people point to PS2 and Xbox and maybe like current gen games, but GameCube for me had the absolute best library, from Smash Brothers to Zelda to Mario, Sunshine, to a bunch of third parties like Eternal Darkness, Killer 7, even Resident Evil 4. It's literally insane how strong the GameCube's library was and how poorly it sold. It's really a travesty and an absolute disgrace, I guess, or something. Yeah, outside of that, I know it just feels really good to say that I finished all my GameCube games that I've ever owned, or maybe will ever own. If there's a GameCube game I haven't bought at this point, I bought a lot of games that I plan to play in the future. So at this point, I'm just going through all the games that I have and I haven't touched yet. And for me, that's just kind of a big accomplishment, I guess. And it feels really good to finish this backlog, I guess, of what I would consider one of the best systems of all time. Anyway, on that note, I guess the last thing I'd say, I really like the star powers in this one. I love the Art Attack one where you draw around them. There's one where you just mash buttons. That's kind of whatever. But some of them, it's kind of odd because you don't know what to expect, even though they tell you, like, okay, press the A and B button alternatively, but like how long, how fast, like whatever. But it's really fun that they have a bunch of variety. And I just love the hammer animation. I love the jumping animation. I love it when you get the timing right and you see excellent on the screen. Overall, very good game. I just kind of wish, I guess it was shorter maybe, or more stuff was inside mission. But it's an RPG. What do you expect? And yeah, that's it. That's the GameCube legacy over. And yeah, good way to hit it out, I would say. Anyway, guys, that's it. I'll see you guys later.